The topic for engineering tips today, it says in the title, create drawing for plan sheets, standards, references, and where did those seed files go? We had a workspace update earlier, or last month, and we did move the seed files. And I've gotten several questions, and so I have to remember that not everybody is able to come to these webinars, so we'll get it recorded and get things updated. But I want to start with some other change that's happened on a lot of computers at ODOT and talk about the ProjectWise drive. The ProjectWise drive, I'm going to bring up an email that folks at ODOT received. Mine was received on Monday at 2:32 p.m. And I can see from this email, the icon in the upper left corner, that these efforts for ProjectWise Drive, ProjectWise 365, and ProjectWise Web, they're all orchestrated by the ProjectWise admin group. These are not driven by East. We get to experience these changes right along with you, and I just want to point out some things that might help you understand what is happening. Bentley is the software vendor for ProjectWise, Connection Client, MicroStation, Open Roads, Open Site. I've got a grouping here. I use fences on my desktop, and I've got a fence called Bentley Software, and I've just got the icons in there for all the different pieces of software that Bentley is the vendor for. Now, they use a licensing technique that requires each person who uses their software to have a Bentley account. That account is an email address, and you have to have a Bentley password. That Bentley account is controlled by Bentley. We can help you manage it, but it's not controlled by ODOT. It's not your ODOT login account. It's a Bentley account. When you work for ODOT, your Bentley account username is your ODOT email address. First dot last, maybe you have a middle initial, at odot.oregon.gov. That's your email address that Bentley is aware of. You are in total control of setting and remembering your Bentley password, and even resetting it if you need to, if you've forgotten it. But unless you forget it, there's really no reason to reset your Bentley password. The ProjectWise drive, you got an email sent out to you that it might be installed, or you might be getting pop-ups. That ProjectWise drive is installed, and at ODOT, you don't have any control over whether it's installed or not. That's all orchestrated. You will have two pieces of Bentley software once that drive is installed. Two pieces of software that require login credentials: the Connection Client and the ProjectWise drive. Both of those pieces of software require logging in with the same account, same email address, same password. It's the Bentley stuff because these are Bentley applications. Every couple of weeks or so, you will need to re-enter your credentials. And what will happen is a dialog box for either Connection Client or the ProjectWise drive will appear from your system tray. It will open up. I'm going to open this one. This is Connection Client, and you will see your email address just sitting there. And your icon will have a red circle, probably a white X, indicating that you're not connected. You just need to re-enter your password. It's very similar to a phone app. It's got some very simplified screens where if you click on your email address or enter your email address, that is actually your username with Bentley, it will advance to the password screen where you enter your Bentley password. There are also links to how to correct a forgotten password. So just wanted to let you know about the ProjectWise drive. I have some pictures of what you might experience on your machine. Let me just run through those. The ProjectWise drive login, when this app opens on your screen, it's wider. It's really wide. It's wider than the Connection Client. That was the first thing I noticed. But you just fill in your email address as normal, and then you would enter your Bentley password, and then it will log you in. The ProjectWise Drive icon appears in your system tray, just like the connection client one, and it will indicate whether or not you are logged out or logged in, if you're synced and ready. You don't need to worry about that a whole lot. The point in time will come if you're using ProjectWise 365 that it will need to sync that ProjectWise Drive. It will lead you through that process, so you don't need to worry about it. So, and I see that there is a chat. Martin is having some trouble recovering probably his password. You can send an email to odot.east@odot.oregon.gov, and someone from East can help you with your credentials for the connection client. They use the same credentials, and we can give you a hand. If it's specifically for the ProjectWise Drive, you can email the ProjectWise admins and get help with that too. It's the same credentials though. So feel free to reach out for help if, with your username, your email, or your password, and we'll give you a hand with that. Let's see. Oh, I have one other picture. I actually went through the process of synchronizing my ProjectWise Drive. I was playing with ProjectWise 365, ProjectWise WebView, and I came upon a screen that said, hey, in order to use this, you've got to synchronize your drive. And so I just stepped through it, and you have to accept the terms of service. And there's a picture of this in front of you right now. And that's okay to accept those Bentley terms of service. And once you do that, it actually will synchronize that drive and produce a thing called a node. You can actually see this ProjectWise Drive from File Explorer. I'm going to open up my File Explorer and show you what the ProjectWise Drive looks like when it's synchronized, and actually you've gone through all of the steps. On the left-hand side, there's a folder list, and I can see there's one drive, and right below it, I can see there's a ProjectWise icon, and that's the node that's spoken of in some of the emails that I've received, where you can actually access the files that are stored in the ProjectWise Drive. What is that ProjectWise Drive? It's your sort of local working directory for ProjectWise 365. And so when you check out documents from ProjectWise 365, it will put a copy there. It's not really on your machine. It's accessed through this little node. So that's really all I wanted to say about it. Let's see, are there privacy or security concerns with accepting Bentley's access demand? So having to agree to the terms of service. I don't really concern myself with that. ODOT has already, the legal Justice Department has already scoured all the terms of service, and so it is okay for us to accept those terms of service. If you don't accept those terms of service, you will not be able to use the software. So if using that software is part of your position, you're going to need to resolve that one way or the other. And if your previous email address at ODOT, we did an email domain change last year from at odot.state.or.us to at odot.oregon.gov. If you still see that old email address in your history, it's like it's just reading your history. Just don't use it. Don't select it. That's the easiest thing to do. Select the one that ends with odot.oregon.gov. You can clear the history. If you want to know how to clear that history, you can contact East, odot.east@odot.oregon.gov, and we can help you with that. All right, that is more than I really wanted to talk about with the ProjectWise Drive. But let's start off my other topics with Edge. I'm going to open up Edge, and I'm going to go to the East website. Now, one more way to get to the East website. If you are an employee and you've got the dash in front of you, you have employee services and you might need computer support. So you can go to computer support on the dash. Then in the bottom right area, there are these blue rectangles, and one of them says Tech and Data. I'm going to choose Tech and Data. And then staying at the bottom right area, there are related resources, and there's our shortcut to the Engineering Applications Support Team. So that's one way to get to it. This is on the internet. It's externally facing. We're going to go right now to the services column, What's New on the website, so that you can see that I added, actually, I think Michael did this, maybe Todd, added a PDF about the new cell counting report. That got added. So yeah, there's a new cell counting report. And I added the webinar recordings. So I got up to date with all the January webinar recordings, and those were all added to the drawing workflows for MicroStation Connect. When we enter the East website, we get this menu. It's a left side navigational menu. And for the rest of today's topics, I want to go to the QuickStart for MicroStation Connect. Now, the Connect Edition CAD software provides efficiencies, once the tools are learned, for producing PDF plans. And these same tools can be used to produce just PDF sketches or drawings that aren't plans. Why would you use these same tools to produce non-plans? Well, because they're all set up and they're more efficient than the tools that were available in our previous versions of the software. They do more steps automatically, and they're set up to apply the ODOT standards for plan creation. So you might as well use them. I would. I'm going to take just a few minutes to explain that in the next 3 months, I believe it's 3 months, the Bentley CAD software that you use at ODOT will be optimized such that your computer has only one piece of CAD software installed on it. So if we're looking at my grouping of CAD software here, what will happen is you will have one piece. You'll either have MicroStation Connect, or you'll have OpenRoads Designer, or you'll have OpenSite. The reason we can do this, provide just one piece of CAD software, is because the MicroStation program, the entire MicroStation program, is embedded within the Open Designer softwares, things like OpenRoads and OpenSite, and it's accessed from the drawing ribbon workflow. So MicroStation is the platform. It's there. It's available in all of the other pieces of software. So you really only need one piece of CAD software, CAD editing software on your computer. Now, the information that we're going to talk about today about sheet models, using the Create Drawing tool, attaching references, creating new seed files, it's the same for MicroStation as it is for OpenRoads Designer and OpenSite Designer. I'm going to work from this QuickStart page and point out that this background information that's at the top of the QuickStart page is pertinent to all of the Bentley CAD software. Now, there is a link to seed file descriptions, and we made a change to the seed files just this last month. That seed files description needs to be updated. If I open that link, it tells me that my seed files are simply named Seed 2D and Seed 3D, and that's been changed. So I want to get a little bit further down, and then I'll start to do some demos, and we'll see how the seed files were changed and how you would access the seed files. The first step in this quick start, you'll notice that there are 5 steps. The first is create new DGN files for your work. We have always recommended that when you start doing work, create a brand new file from a seed. There are links to show you how. I will demonstrate that right now. I'm going to demonstrate 2 different ways of doing that. First, I'm going to demonstrate how to use the MicroStation software to create a brand new file. And I'll also demonstrate how to do it in ProjectWise. creating a brand new file using MicroStation. I'm just going to double click on the MicroStation desktop icon, cancel out of the ProjectWise login dialog because I'm going to work in a folder I've prepared on my C drive. It's actually in the O.work set. My ProjectWise login dialog just appeared on a second screen, so I'm going to cancel that. And I will get to my work page where I always set my workspace and work set by choosing the shortcut in the upper left corner to O.connect O. It just simply sets the workspace and the work set correctly. And then I'm going to use the new file command. This new file command knows what software I'm using, and it has provided me with the default seed file, and I don't need to browse if what I want to create is a 2D file. I'm going to try to zoom in here so you can see that location. We have added subfolders underneath the seed folder. The subfolder uses the name of the software. Well, when we're running the software and trying to create a new file, the workspace actually knows which piece of software I'm running. So it pointed me right into the MicroStation file, and it gave me the seed 2D. If I need to create a different seed file, I can use the Browse button. And there I see I have got seed 2D, seed 3D, and the topo.seed if I was doing topo.work. So 2D drawing, 3D drawing, topo.dot. Well, what about if I needed to create a brand new title sheet? Not title sheet. What do they call it? Project information model. We used to call this a name file. That seed file was not moved. It might be created using any of the Bentley CAD software. So that seed file remained in the seed folder. I'm going to click on the seed folder or use the up arrow to go up one level, and I see seed title block. So that's the project information seed file. If you need that, it's not in a software specific folder. It's just at the root of the seed folder. I'm actually going to cancel. I don't need to change the seed file. I just need to navigate into my engineering tips for today and create a brand new file. Let me just call it a, I didn't think this out. Just going to call it example and hit save. Now let's do that same thing in ProjectWise. I'm going to leave MicroStation open. When I'm working in ProjectWise, we don't have the software open when we create new documents. The software is closed. We use ProjectWise Explorer to create the new file. So I'm going to use my shortcut to, actually I'm going to use my shortcut to the user training area. And I'm going to go into my key number with 5 nines to show you how the seed files have changed their location. Yes. I got an error when I tried to use my shortcut. I think I've mentioned that change is constant, and they just updated the user training area. So it is now a connect. It's available for ProjectWise 365. I'm going to see if I can find it by going into pwo.prod, which means that my shortcut is broken. In o.prod, I see that there is no more user training down here. It's not there. So if you're looking for user training, don't look under the use because it's no longer there. It has gotten moved into a project called _PW_resources. If we expand that, we see there's the user training folder. So it got moved. It looks to me like it got a new GUID. So I probably need to redo my shortcuts. Here's my key number with 5 nines. I'm going to go into the number 1 design folder. I'm just going to go into the roadway folder. Sure. And I'm going to create a brand new DGN file in here I'm going to right click and choose open and use the advanced wizard. It wasn't open, it was right click and it was new advanced wizard. I'm going to use the select button to select a template. And here I need to find the CAD resources. Let's see if those got moved. I'm going to expand the directory tree structure, go up to the top, and I do see CAD resources now is not at the very top. It used to be at the very top. Looks like there are some other of these connect projects that have been kind of inserted. But I'm going to go into the CAD resources folder and into the seed folder. Inside the seed folder, I see seed title block, just like it is on my C drive. And I see a text file that says to me, seed files for DGNs are in software subfolders. It's actually a README. And I see some descriptions. So I need to know how to use these. Well, I'm going to be using MicroStation to edit this file. I'm not going to be using OpenRoads, or maybe I'll be using OpenRoads. What piece of software will I actually be using to edit this file? I would open that folder. Let's open the MicroStation folder. And I see that each of the seed files now has the name of the software at the front. And it tells me in the description what to use it for 2D drawing using MicroStation. Okay, that sounds like what I'm going to do. So I'm going to choose MicroStation _seed 2D, just so that you can see what's available. If I go into OpenRoads, there is an OpenRoads seed 2D, and it tells me why I would use that seed file, and that I should be using OpenRoads when I edit the file that I'm creating. Let's go back into MicroStation. I choose MicroStation seed 2D. I open it and hit next. I name my file, and I'm going to name this one, looking for some kind of a miscellaneous file. I see a miscellaneous document because I'm not really sure what this is going to end up being, but I am going to put a .dgn on the end of it because it is a DGN file, and hit the next button. And now I have created my new file that I can work in, and it's called RK59's MISC01, and it has a description. Now, I like to always rename these and fill out what this is for. This is my example file. And I'm done, except I would be ready to use Open With probably and choose MicroStation Connect and open the file. Now, I just wanted to create the seed file, or create the file from a seed to show you the differences in the seed files. So I think we did that. Now, back to our steps. There's 5 steps. I've created my new file. The next step typically is to attach references. And actually, if you have known me for 10 or 20 years, you know that these 5 steps are the same 5 steps that I have used for a couple of decades for doing new work. Let's see, I have MicroStation open. So MicroStation is actually open. Remember, I created this example.dgn on my C drive in the o.work set. And the next step would be to attach references to other people's work. Why do the work when somebody else has already done it? So I'm going to attach some references. You can use that attach references dialog if you don't recall how to attach references, or if you are looking for information about how to access cache files. There's a link there in the QuickStart. I'm just going to show you. I'm going to attach a reference from my current folder. My active folder appears, and I'm going to attach the OP&P file. And what I'm going to attach here is I'm going to attach the default model just for grins. And I need live nesting with a depth of 1. Now, that gets me some data. that I can see coming through that live nesting, actual project data that has real world coordinates. That's the reason that I attach that. Maybe I want to attach a cache file. A cache file is a standard reference file, and those standard reference files, we have them for several different disciplines. It just gives you some quick things that you can copy and paste into your drawing. So I'm going to show you with this directory history button. It's a file folder icon with an asterisk in it in the upper right area of the attach reference dialog. And there are shortcuts. These shortcuts are preloaded from the ODOT Connect workspace. And one of these ends with the words standards ref. This is all of the standard reference files. We also call them cache files for different disciplines. I've got geohydro, I've got some pipe stuff, plans, that's roadway, sign cache, structures, traffic control plans. I'm just going to choose plans V8 and choose to open that. And when I attach it, I don't see it because these cache files have their origin down at 0, 0. If I fit my view, I'll see my entire screen kind of zooms way out, and I've got some information down here at 0, 0. That's the cache file, and I've got information here. None of this information I created, but maybe I want to create a sketch of it. I really don't need that plans V8 attached. Let me just turn off the display of it and then fit my view, and we'll move on. The third step in your QuickStart is to place your own graphics. There's information under place your own graphics about how to use some tools that are on the ODOT ribbon workflows, how to place a table. Maybe you need to use auto-turn guide sign or access ramp. I'm going to just assume that we all know how to place some tools. I want to place some cells that might tell me where I want to cut some sheets. Those tools are on the ODOT plan sheet creation ribbon workflow in the sheet tools. I'm going to place some cells for clip shapes. This clip shape with notes cell. That is pretty big. I really might only need one sheet. This cell responds to annotation scale, and the annotation scale of this drawing, this model, is inch 100. If I choose a different drawing scale, maybe inch 50, this cell will resize and show what that will look like. So let me choose element selection tool, go down and choose inch 50. And I'm going to place this cell, again, clip shape with notes. Notice the annotation cell is smaller. So I could place this cell here. I'm going to place it right there. Oh, you know what? Let me undo that. I could place this interactively where I can rotate it. That might be interesting. So I'm going to place it there and then rotate it kind of into position there. And I'm going to move it. I didn't really want it right there. Maybe I wanted it kind of there. And let me place another one. Place another one. Again, I can make it interactive so that I can place it. I'm going to try to place it right there and rotate it so that it has a little bit of overlap like that. So maybe I want a couple of sheets that look like that, maybe. Now, I'm going to go back here. I've placed my own graphics. That was step number 3. Step number 4 is my sheet layout. I really haven't placed a whole lot of graphics. The graphics that I placed are construction class cells, so let's place some graphics. I'm going to use, with the element selection tool, I'm going to press my space bar and get my pop-up menu that has my placement group on it, and I'm going to place a circle. How about that? I'll just place a circle there, and I'll place a circle there. I'm not very good at placing circles, but there we go. I have placed my own graphics. Woohoo. And these are primary class graphics. If I select these, their properties appear on the right-hand side. These are primary class, so I will be able to see those in a print. But these cells are actually all construction class elements, and they won't appear if I use a pen table here at ODOT. Now, back to sheet layout. There's lots of videos and things, but I want to draw your attention to these slides that are available for drawing boundaries. I'm going to open those slides. If you haven't watched this or gone through these slides, maybe you weren't available to go through the drawing boundaries webinar, take a look. It will lead you through what are the drawing boundary seeds. They use sheet models. What are sheet models? Well, it's a model. It's an area to do drawings, but it has different properties than a design type model. In the past, we've used a lot of design type models, and we were just kind of breaking into using sheet models about, 3 years ago. We really weren't using sheet models a whole lot. But when we went to the Connect edition of the products, we created print styles that print preferentially from sheet models, and they do a really good job of applying our standards and producing our standard products when they are produced in sheet models. All of those efficient tools that come along with the Connect edition, they automatically create sheet models for us, and I'm going to show you one of those tools. Anyway, these slides have got some really good information. I am going to end up using the place named boundary tool, and I'm going to use the underscore detail notes sheet only drawing boundary seed. So that's what I'm going to do as part of my sheet layout. That's done right now from the drawing ribbon workflow. There is a view tab. The View tab has saved views, and saved views are actually used when we place name boundaries. So I choose the place name boundary command. I choose my drawing boundary. I'm going to use detail notes sheet only. This will leave space on the right-hand side for those notes. I am going to go ahead and give it a name. I'm just going to call it 1. And I'm going to use the along path, but I'm also going to set my detail scale. I set my detail scale so that it matches the drawing scale that I see down below. And then I see a little rectangle that looks pretty close to the same size. I'm going to use place an array, and I'm just going to let it create a brand new group and name it untitled. Not really concerned about that, but I am going to check the box to automatically create the drawing. So once these are placed, it's going to automatically create those sheet models. Now, I want to position this. I need to identify my path element. The path element for me is probably going to be this center line that I see that's kind of got a magenta color and an orange color. So I'm going to choose this magenta, this element right here. Actually, I'm going to use my near point snap. Where's nearest snap? This will put me onto that element. I see AccuSnap has the yellow X when I use near point, and it's just putting me onto the nearest snap. So I'm going to go ahead and select a point that's close to the edge of the boundary, and we see how it rotates. Wow, rotated it into position because it sees the element I'm selecting. I'm asked, if I expand my status bar in the lower left corner, to identify the end point on that same path. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to choose my endpoint, and I need my nearest snap again, nearest, and then I'm going to identify a point right there, and it has placed 2 white shapes. That's pretty cool, and it's going to create the sheets as soon as I click OK. So I'll click OK, and here I am in my sheets. And if I open up my models dialog, I see that it created a model named 1 and it created a model named 2. And when I look at model named 1, I see that circle that I drew. And when I look at the model named 2, I see the circle that I drew. I move things around. And I also see all of the other information coming in. Remember, these clip shapes were construction class, so they won't show. All right. Going through my QuickStart, I created a new file, attached references, I placed some circles, woohoo. I have just prepared to print. I've created sheets, and now I'm going to create PDFs using Print Organizer. Lots of info for how to do this. I'm going to use the Print Organizer. It is on the Quick Access tools at the upper left. I'm going to use Print Organizer. In the Print Organizer, I could load, keynew.pset, which has folders, but this is just a quick print. I'm not even going to save this print set. I'll show you how I do it. File, add active file to the set. So the Print Organizer is going to scan the file that's currently open, but I need to give it a print style name. Now, the print style names, there are a group that start with design and a group that starts with the word sheet. If my drawings have been prepared in design type models like we used to do in V8i, if you're still using a design type model, you would use a print style that starts with the word design. But if you're using the new Create Drawing tools, where it's creating these sheet models for you, use the print style that starts with the word sheet. And I want 11 by 17 inch sheets. If you were creating something just for a manual, or maybe it's for a survey filing map, you would use a different size. So look at the numbers that follow the word sheet. I'm going to use sheet 11 by 17. And I click OK. Print Organizer scans the file that's open. It adds 2 sheets. It should find 2 sheet type models. There's only 2 sheet models. And it adds them, and I can preview these. And they're named, and there we can see in the preview that it's going to show the lines that I drew. It's not going to show the construction class lines. Great, looks fine. I'm going to print it using my print icon, which is really, in our world, PDF it. I'm going to print everything. I can put it into a single print job. Yep. And I'm going to let it be called untitled PDF. That's just absolutely fine. Click OK. It's going to create the PDF, insert the sheets, and it's going to open it so that I can take a look at it, do a quick little review. And there I've got some info. There we go. I have my sheets, 1, and there's a second page. There's 2. Doke. Now, some of you might have noticed it didn't look like it was grayscaling anything, and when I look closely, I don't think that I really see any existing graphics. These are just design graphics, and that would be true. So if you happen to notice that, that's what's going on here. I seem to be missing my existing topography. I'm going to go back to my default model and look at my reference dialog where I referenced to the OP&P. Over on the left-hand side, I've got the hierarchy so I can actually see which files are contributing to that OP&P. And what I see is that I am not seeing the terrain. So it's grayed out, which means it's not displayed. I'm going to select the OP&P and look at the terrain, and I see that the display has been toggled off. Interesting. Let me toggle it on. Oh, that looks so much better. I copied this whole data set from something else and So there was probably a reason why I toggled the terrain off before, but it's there and it's attached. I don't like this perimeter line. That's just a level display. I can turn off that level pretty easily. That is, I believe, the perimeter level. Not a big deal. Now, it already has the logical name of exist. So when I view this information through the sheet model, now that I've turned it on in the default model, it should show up. Let's try it. I'm going to open up the number 1 views, and I don't see any change. So I've been told that if this happens, you should reopen the file and it might update. So I'm going to type the phrase new file. It's just an NE, and then I can hit enter. And it will reopen the file. And it's supposed to adjust the level display. Well, it looks like it didn't quite. Let me try it one more time. Go back here, and I'm going to save the settings and see if I can get that existing to appear in my other view, and I'm not seeing it. So when I expand, let's just see what we've got going on here. It looks like it's still toggled off. Here's my sheet. I'm going to go ahead and manually toggle it on here. There we go. So I can see it. Now I can see it in the sheet, and so it will print. It will use the pen table when we create the PDFs. Let's go to number 2. And in number 2, I'm going to just do the same thing. I'm just going to manually toggle it on. If I select my OPNP file, go into the terrain, toggle it on. Wow. I could do some level cleanup. There's some stuff that I don't need to see. Also going to, yeah, I've got some line style scaling. My wetlands not displaying the way I would prefer it. I'm not going to worry about it right now, but I'm just going to go ahead and reproduce. I can do a print preview here, and it should show now that existing terrain displayed in the graphics. So if I create the new PDF, it should also show it. See, it shows a lot more data, and they're gray. So when I produce my new PDF, call it Untitled. I'm going to call this one Untitled 2. You should see that the items are grayscaling. So that, in a nutshell, is the quick start. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to type them into the chat or unmute yourself and speak out. But those are great. Nice. Let's see. There's a question in the chat, and it says, I'm just going to read this to you all. If a designer drafter only has ORD in the future, they should always use ORD seeds, even if it's just for a plan sheet with graphics and no civil content. Answer is yes, that is true. So always use the seed file that has the name of the software that you will be using for it. It's okay because the MicroStation seed file is identical to the OpenRoad seed file. They're identical. But the open site seed files have a different alignment, different civil schema, and that's where we would wind up with problems. And let's see. There's another question. It says, you found border is not 00 set. And I would say I haven't had that same issue. It's set to be 00 unless I have accidentally moved it. So let me do a test and double check. I have done some edits, and so I edited the model seed that's used to create new models, new sheet models. So let's just do a test. If we go into our model dialog and create a brand new model, sheet from seed, and I'm going to use the Seed 2D sheet. You'll see the date on that is January. So I did make some edits. Let's see if I messed stuff up. I'm going to choose open. I'm going to choose 11 by 17, and I can call this 11 by 17 and give it a sheet number C01 just for grins. Click OK. Then this sheet should have the origin at 0, 0. If we just use element selection tool and do a tentative snap on the corner, it should report 0, 0. Now, it also will give us some information about the model, and it should have my origin, and I see that the origin of the model is 0, 0. But let's take a look at the cells. It's possible that cells do not have the correct origin. So let's look at this border B size sheet cell. It has an origin. There we go. Looks like it's got an origin that's just slightly off. Good catch, Sue. Wow. So I will fix that. Thank you for pointing that out. I'm going to take responsibility for that one because I did just edit it. As you all know, it's very easy to get kind of a latency going on with your mouse, and sometimes it grabs stuff and moves it and you just don't realize. But that one does have a bad origin, and then the clip shape has an origin of 0, 0. Perfect. All right, I'll be fixing that one. Anybody else? Questions, comments? Well, thank you for coming out today and playing with me. I really appreciate it.